2, 1. Welcome to the Shoulder Strong channel.
Oh yeah. So we got a good video for you today, and something that Forrest and I talked about on how can we give our viewers something that they can watch and immediately put to good use. And that is
The most common thing trainers will say to their clients.
during a session.
And why you should really have one, to be honest. Why a trainer provides you so much more over a short and long period of time for both your fitness and your health. Just using our knowledge is just very important. Besides this YouTube channel, trainers have a lot to provide for you.
And an example of that is that a trainer training full-time will train, between 5 to 8 hours a day, sometimes more, sometimes less. But that trainer is watching other people move and looking for the commonalities in movement and biomechanics for different bodies. The problem with you training yourself, even if you're like, oh, I can watch myself in the mirror, I can feel, how my body's feeling. Yes, but are your eyes deceiving you, and are there common things that you're doing incorrectly that may lead to injury? Also, there's this thing that happens when people train themselves and they think, I need to work out intensely all the time. And so they start to get to fatigue or failure points, and they don't really know what's happening with their body. So having a trainer watch you, and having a trainer, and we'll kind of lead into this, tell you, hey, maybe today is not your day. Let's do something else. And so one of the things that we do is tailor people's expectations, not to what they want on any given day, but what they actually need.
So this need could be more or less. This knows today is I'm not going to push myself so hard with the cardio, the weights. This could be a flexibility day. This could be learning to just breathe day. But it's something that people really tend to miss out on is when to breathe, when to relax, when to not put so much work in so you're not hurt for later use. Because if you're hurt, you can't move, or at least not the way you want to. So we want to provide a long-term plan for that constant improvement instead of taking 2 steps back.
Well, and a good example of that is hydration, right? So every workout has 3 basic phases: a warm-up phase, a work phase, and a cool-down phase. And as we as trainers are taking our clients through those phases, at any given point, even if we have a set plan, we need to be able to throw that plan out based on what the client is exhibiting, right? An example of that is dehydration, right? So say you're taking someone through a warm-up phase, or you yourself are warming up and you feel your muscles are crampy. Well, should you continue your warm-up phase? Yes, but pause, take a break, hydrate, get some electrolytes, and then continue your warm-up phase. And if those muscle cramps are still happening to the warm-up phase, well, you're going to have to rethink what your work phase is going to be. And so as, trainer, and we're watching this and we're talking and everything else, it's like we're going to go, okay, if someone's going, grabbing their leg, or, hamstring cramps, calf cramps are a really common sign of dehydration. Forearm cramps are a sign of dehydration. We're going to change what the plan is for any given day.
All right, so this kind of leads into what are some common things you do say to your client? Some cues you really want them to understand. Any specialties that you like to say?
Okay, that's a great point. So one of the things is shoulders down, chin in, right? And so I'm big on visualization. And so what do shoulders down, chin in do? You want to integrate the joint closer to your center of mass. And just for our discussion purposes today, we'll say center of mass is around your belly button. Well, if your shoulders are here and you're trying to do anything, your biomechanics are going to be off. So if you integrate the shoulders down and closer to your belly button, you're going to move more efficiently. The other thing, and this is really common, especially in the era of, at desk, looking at the cell phones, is something called kyphosis. Kyphosis is the chin forward, the neck rounded, and I'm going to use Forrest's body here, this hump here in the upper back. So if he draws his chin in, shoulders down, notice now that he's got a straighter spine. And it's much easier. So some people say, oh, just tighten your core, draw in on the abdominals. Well, if you draw in on the abdominals, but your chin is still forward, or take your chin out for a sec. Yeah, it doesn't matter if your abs are in. When you go to move, it's gonna throw your balance off. So you have to keep that chin in. So the other kind of cue that I always give my clients, and just something that I say is, life happens in the gym for life outside the gym. Meaning you train in a gym for everything else that you may encounter outside the gym. So that being said, I'm like, keep your eyes on the predator, right? And what does that mean? Okay, if there was some animal in the distance that was stalking you, you would have your chin in, right? One of the fight or flight responses is shoulders down, chin in. And if you ever seen someone react to a loud noise, what do? Boom. Shoulders down, chin in, abs in, glutes tight, they're ready to go. So it's one of the things that, we really, really commonly say. So next time you go to the gym, you can say, well, how can I apply something from the Shoulders Strong video that I watched? Boom, chin in, shoulders down, go and lift.
And to breathe. Don't forget to breathe.
Okay, and so breath is another thing to cue. And people ask me, how do you breathe during? So a really, really basic way to figure this out on yourself is give yourself a strong hit in the stomach. So what you'll do is you go, you exhale, right? Exhale favors flexion. Inhale favors extension. And if you ever coughed, you'll instantly go into flexion. So anything that's favoring flexion, exhale. Anything that's favoring extension, inhale. A good way to think about it is how we talk about it in yoga. If you're moving away from the ground or a limb is moving away from the body, inhale. If a limb is moving towards the body, exhale. Right? And think about going into fetal position. Exactly. Exhale. Inhale, come out. Good. And then exhale, down and in. Brilliant. Okay, another thing that we're going to get to, and it's very, very important, is motivational psychology. Mm-hmm. And what to say, what not to say.
Because we are not your therapist. As trainers, we are here for maybe 2 minutes of that, boys and girls.
And it's really, really important that when you are focused on your training, stay focused on your training.
Get into your body.
Get into your body. Be into your body. Be into your breath. Be into your movement. And the precision of moving, let everything else go away.
30 minutes to an hour of just you and your body and us.
Checking in. Really, really important. So an example of that is if a client is wanting to be too chatty, say focus on your breath, focus on your movement. So even with yourself, you're listening to your tunes. Is it good to just be jamming out listening to your tunes all the time?
I mean, kinda, yes, but you're not really that aware of everything that's going on.
Exactly. So you want to do things to increase awareness.
Sometimes it's fun, but sometimes you need to focus on what's happening.
Exactly. And a lot of times people can't do two things at the same time. They think they can talk to you and move well, but the truth is they can't.
Definitely.
So if you take the emphasis and, say you're wanting to sing to that favorite song while you're moving, it's better to turn the music down or off and instead focus on synchronizing breath and movement. If you can synchronize breath and movement, you can develop coordination and athleticism through time. That is really important and that is key.
Yes. So in the beginning of not just the motivational part is you will be able to tell right away when a client is in a certain mood, has a certain attitude. And within those few minutes, you should be able to bring them right up. You as a trainer should be able to get them into, oh, I really like working out. Oh, this feels really good. I now have oxygen to my brain.
So that's another thing. And we talked about this a lot. And I go through this quite often with my clients is sometimes the verbal cueing and the verbal feedback at the beginning of the workout is literally because of a lack of oxygen. So someone can come in and they can have their shoulders down, they could be slumpy, frumpy, tired, and then you get them moving and all of a sudden, you encourage good posture, you encourage a smile, you bring that smile to their face, and then pretty soon they're feeling better. So then they can adequately go from the warm-up phase to the work phase of the workout, and they're good to go. They're golden. However, if after pumping someone full of oxygen and positivity, they can't escape their Eeyoreness, maybe it's time to shelve the workout altogether and do something that is more supportive of how the body is today. And so one of the things that, we as trainers are trying to get across is acknowledge where your body is today, not where you want it to be, but where it actually is. Acknowledge where your mindset is. Now, you can change your attitude, you can change your feelings, you can change your mindset, but on, any given day, the amount that you can do that is fixed, right?
It also changes by the hour too. So then not
exactly.
Not only you're could have a good workout one day or a bad workout that day, you could do the same thing within a couple hours, and it's going to be different. So you kind of need to tune up for that.
Well, and here's an additional thing to that is when I was a young trainer, like Forrest age, I used to kill people with exercise. And then I'd wonder why I would only see clients a few times. And they would be like, oh, that was such a great workout. They'd be dripping in sweat and they'd just be vomiting on the floor and everything else. Oh. And I'd be like, yeah, I did a great job, But then they wouldn't come back, or I'd lose them after the first month or the first 2 months. And it was because I was killing them with exercise. So I invented this concept that I call the Costco snack lady concept of exercise. And what it is this. What it is this. The reason that you go and you buy that shitty frozen pizza from the snack woman at Costco or wherever is that you've only eaten this much. Taste. And so you had just a little bit to stimulate your appetite and get you to go buy that frozen pizza or whatever it is. Sometimes with exercise, and a lot of times with exercise, you want to do the same thing. You want to give your body what it needs to get those apex feelings, get those endorphins going, do your mobility, do your flexibility, do a little bit of strength. But you want to leave the gym wanting more. Like, oh, I could go do another set. Mm-hmm. I could go run on the treadmill for another hour. Mm-hmm. That's a good place and a good time to leave the gym.
Yes.
So that you're taking that reserve and you're putting it towards recovery, right? If you want to know the secret to making gains through time, it's consistency, right? Being able to work out a little bit every day. If you kill yourself...
That's how you get injured. That's how you're not going to have a good time next time.
Well, and now we're kind of segueing into motivational psychology.
Oh, yes.
You want to end on a positive note so that you're always creating this positive representation in your own mind to working out.
Of yourself, of just, that's kind of something to go back to. It's not just our job to be your motivation, but your job for your own motivation.
And part of that is stopping your exercise at a high point when you're feeling good, when you're feeling loose, when you're feeling positive, rather than to keep pushing to the point of misery. And then all of a sudden you start associating misery and exercise. Well, if you associate instead joy and exercise, anything that's joyful, you're going to do again, right? So if you feel good and you stop your exercise at the moment that you feel the best, then you're like, okay, I'm leaving the gym now. You're going to go back, right? Because you're like, that was so positive. I feel so good. I'm going to go back and do it again. And this is why, I'm against these really, really intense forms of exercise. Do they produce results? Yes. But if something's hugely miserable, you're less likely to continue doing it and you're more likely to injure yourself. So think of consistency through time.
Enjoyable, moderate exercise. That's pretty much what I would sustain it as.
Exactly. Back to the motivational psychology point. I use something called NLP with my clients. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. What that is framing your action verbs in the positive. So I tell my clients what to do, not what to not do, right? I don't say, don't do that. Instead, I say, hey, see what you're doing? Do this, right? And I try to use the fewest words possible to elicit the greatest response. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that's important?
Because it is a program for basically later use. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, you want the simplest words to deliver the action, right? If I'm focusing on cueing and I say something like chin in, it's much more simple than don't jut your neck out, right? Because then people will do what? They don't hear the don't, they just hear me say jet your neck out. That's not what I want them to do. So instead I say chin in. Or don't lift your shoulder up. What are they going to do? Lift their shoulder up. I say shoulders down, right? It makes more sense. The brain doesn't have to decode it in the process, right? So when you're focusing on breath and movement, the least things that your trainer can say to you, or take that to yourself, the least things that you can say to yourself will generate the biggest results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, leaving off, and we'll talk about some motivational cues because we've kind of both gone over biomechanic, we've gone over the motivational part, but in another video, we're going to go over just the motivational aspect of this.
And we'll tap more into visualization, and I'll kind of go into that for a second. But an example on motivation is, how do you feel from working out? How do you want to feel from working out? And can you start to develop this idea of mental fortitude from working out? It will happen automatically, but is there a way that you can cultivate it while you're working out? And the answer is yes. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in upcoming videos. Also, if you have any ideas on how you want to see this video segued into another video, or you want us to further touch on certain points, please write that in the comments below, and we'd be happy to tailor our next video to, what your thoughts, comments, and questions are. And again, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, thumbs up, big thumbs up, 3 thumbs up.
Chin in, boys and girls.
Chin in. Alrighty, signing off. Schultz is strong all day long. We love you long time.